Good evening. This is Dr. Soman Dandapat. I am going to elaborate some basic facts about phacoemulsification. Now, phacoemulsification is a newer concept in India today. It is well established by Carl Kellman in 1967. It has many advantages. I am briefing the advantages. Number one, that reduces the incision site, that reduces the astigmatism, post-operative complication, post-hemorrhagic complication, and patient goes to normal work within a week. So normal hazards for ECC and SICS is no there in phacoemulsification. Now, the principles of phacoemulsification. It depends on many factors. The salient factors: number one, the hardness of the nucleus. Number two, the corneal thickness. It matters. The endothelial cell count is very much less and all. It is better not to go for phacoemulsification. High-aged patient like around 90 to 90 plus patients and all, this is not advocated. Third thing, the iris patterns. And fourth, the chamber depth. The depth should be normal. In shallow ACs and all, phaco is a nightmare. And the last one is ocular pathology. They should not have much of the ocular pathology like corneal thinning or the endothelial changes and all, They should be discarded and all before. Now, anesthesia. For phacoemulsification, you can go for general anesthesia and peribulbar anesthesia, and nowadays it is very much common and safe in topical anesthesia. Now, phacodynamics. This is very important to understand the phacodynamics. The few salient points. Number one, the power. The power cuts the nucleus and emulsifies. Number two, the vacuum. What is the function of vacuum? It is the holding force. It holds the nucleus, and when it holds the nucleus, the vacuum rises up. With the second instrument, you can chop the nucleus. That is the most important thing in phaco 1. Number 3, aspiration flow rate. In aspiration flow rate, the small broken particles and pieces of nucleus, they attract towards the phaco tip. So what happens, after doing the your power, after setting the power, when the broken pieces are smaller and smaller, it swallows, it flows towards the phaco tip. And when the small pieces of nucleus, they flows towards the phaco tip, that is called as followability. And the bottle height. This is also very important basically, because from the bottle the fluid reaches to the eye and maintains the anterior chamber. So in a smaller way, the amount of fluid goes inside, the amount of fluid goes outside also. That maintains the anterior chamber. Now, phaco, whichever machine is available in the world market, there are two types. Number one is peristaltic and number two is venturi. The majority of the machines, they are the peristaltic. Some machines, they have peristaltic and venturi both. So what is the difference, the comparison between the peristaltic phaco and venturi phaco? In peristaltic phaco, the flow, this is flow based, whereas in venturi, this is vacuum based. Number two, the vacuum creates when you are occluding the phaco tip to the nucleus. Then only the vacuum rises and you are going to cut the nucleus in pieces. Where in venturi, the vacuum rises along with the pump. Number 3, the flow is constant until the occlusion. There in venturi, the flow varies with the vacuum level. Number 4, It drains in a small bag which is attached at the side of the phaco machine, wherein venturi, the water particles and the nucleus particles, they accumulates in the cassette. The parts of the machine, the three parts, the main machine, the sizes varies company to company. Second thing, the connector. And third thing is the handpiece. In the handpiece, it has US probe, ultrasound probe. Second thing, IA, irrigation aspiration port. And third thing, that is the diathermy handpieces. Rarely this diathermy is used in phaco because most of them goes for a corneal section. Now I am elaborating the steps of phacoemulsification. Number one, you have to measure the K1 and K2 of the cornea. If the K2 is more than K1, go for a superior section. If K1 is more than K2, go for a temporal section. That minimize the astigmatism. So clear corneal incision is mandatory and safe because wound healing is very prompt. Obviously there is a slight chances of a rare postoperative endophthalmitis, but this is very safe for everyone. Number two, capsulotomy. Once you enter to the AC, fill the AC with viscoelastic or high molecular visco according to the age of the patient. Some people mandatory they put Tryphin blue to stain the anterior capsule, and you have to go for a capsulorhexis. A nice around 4.5 to 5 millimeter capsulorhexis is mandatory for a safer phaco. Once the capsulorhexis is over, you drain out the visco and go for hydrodissection and hydrodelineation. Hydrodissection is separation of the nucleus from the cortex, and hydrodelineation is separation of the epinucleus from the nucleus. Now, once the hydrodissection delineation is over, you have to check whether nucleus is freely rotating inside the bag. If the rotation is very nice, you go for phaco 1. Phaco 1 means you have to go for trenching. So in phaco 1, for beginners you go for four quadrants or 2 quadrants. You separate the nucleus in 2 pieces and then go for 4 pieces, and then you swallow the pieces in phaco 2 mode. Here one basic advantage is there. Disadvantage, advantage, this is very good for the beginners, and disadvantage, the ultrasound time is little bit more. And whether a highly practiced surgeon, they perform phaco with the phaco chop technique. In phaco chop technique, what you do, you make a small groove in the center, and when you can see the red glow, what you do, you take your left hand with the chopper, go to the periphery and nicely make the nucleus in 2 pieces. Once you make it 2 pieces, go for 4 pieces, go for 8 pieces, go for 16 pieces, and then start phaco 2 mode and start eating it. So this is direct chopping. In direct chopping, the ultrasound time is very much less, and this is very much highly satisfactory for the endothelial cell counts. And those patients where corneal pathology is there or endothelial cell count is very much less. Now next is IA, irrigation aspiration. In one port we are going with the irrigation and another port we are going for aspiration. Make sure the small 2 holes should be looking upwards towards the corneal side. Start aspirating the remaining part of the cortex. If you want to go for a capsular polish, go for IA2 mode. One hand is not enough, both hands should be used. Then rotate the hand for the other side, nice to clean the posterior capsule and cortex. Then putting the implant. This is mandatory that only foldable lens can be used in phacoemulsification. So some companies they have preloaded, some companies you have to load the lenses of your own. Put sufficient amount of visco whether you are loading the lenses or this is preloaded. Check whether everything is okay, so that the lens comes out very nicely without any interruption. And some people, especially me, we implant the lenses with irrigation. I never use visco inside. So in one hand, our irrigation port is on, so the posterior capsule goes down and nicely placing the lenses. So more than 70% of the lenses are in the bag. Then I take my right hand with the aspiration port and I just put the lens inside the bag nicely. 2-3 times I rotate it, and finally the remaining portion of the viscose and the cortex matter, if it is remaining and all, I take it out. Now the final step, you have to seal the side ports and main ports with a stromal hydration, especially with 27 gauge of needle. We seal the side ports and main ports. Post-operatively, we use Mediatrix maybe once in a day for 7 days, and antibiotic steroid combination for 40 days. We taper it initially 6 times in a week, then next 4 times in a week, and after that the remaining portion of the time we use 3 times. That's all. Some people, those who are having ocular discomforts and all, we can use carboxymethyl cellulose along with the antibiotic steroids. Thank you.